Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed in Brazil. He's got a couple of busy days ahead because it's time for the G20 summit. Remember, India hosted this meeting last year. Now it is Brazil's turn. The summit is being held in Rio de Janeiro, which is the country's second most populous city. It will bring together 20 of the biggest economies in the world, plus the European and African unions. Prime Minister Modi got a warm welcome in Brazil. He was treated to a special performance of Garba. Take a look. We'll be tracking the G20 developments, but tonight the focus is elsewhere. It is on Prime Minister Modi's first stop before reaching Brazil, the African nation of Nigeria. Modi visited the country on Sunday. The last trip by an Indian Prime Minister was way back in 2007. So it's been 17 years, or it had been 17 years since a prime ministerial visit. Nigeria honored Prime Minister Modi with a national award, the Grand Commander of the Order of Niger. It's their second highest award. Take a look. So what's the deal here? Why Nigeria? And why the award? For President Tinubu of Nigeria, the benefits are clear. More than 200 Indian companies operate in his country. Together, they have invested $27 billion. Bilateral trade is also quite big, nearly $15 billion, most of which is oil. You also have a sizable Indian community in Nigeria. It's around 60,000 strong, the largest diaspora in Western Africa. All of it makes India a key partner for Nigeria, an economic powerhouse, a credible investor, and a champion of the global south. President Tinubu praised Prime Minister Modi for driving this partnership.
We stood side by side with Nigeria on many fronts for many decades. Yes, our democracy is a quarter of a century old. You've navigated through India's sectors and also ensured joint collaboration to maintain and strengthen our relationship.
And what's in it for India? Well, Nigeria is a powerhouse in Africa. It's the most populous country on the continent, the fourth largest economy, also the fastest growing economy. And look at its location. In West Africa, surrounded by instability. Nigeria is like the anchor of this region, the key to West African stability. Plus, they have oil reserves. Right now, Nigeria produces 1.8 million barrels of oil per day, and India buys a big chunk of it, which is why Nigeria is a good ally to have.
Our cooperation is very strong, and there are many new possibilities as well for us to take our cooperation forward. As we just said, we have always worked together to address challenges such as terrorism, separatism, piracy, and drug trafficking. And we will continue to work together to fight these in the future as well.
But there is an elephant/dragon in the room. China has made significant gains in Africa. Their total trade is over $200 billion. China is now Africa's biggest trading partner. What about India? Fourth largest, with $100 billion. So a lot of work still needs to be done, and Nigeria is a good place to start, a relatively stable democracy with a lot of potential. Prime Minister Modi and President Tinubu signed 3 deals. They cover cultural exchanges, customs cooperation, and survey cooperation. But during the talks, both leaders highlighted other areas as well, like security and energy. And expect a similar agenda on Modi's next stop. That's Guyana in South America. The Prime Minister will visit Guyana after the G20 summit in Brazil. Again, why this country? Why Guyana? Well, there is a historical connect. Around 40% of Guyana's population is of East Indian origin. They came as laborers in the 1800s. More recently, Guyana has undergone an oil boom. From 2020 to 2023, their oil output increased by 425%. As a result, their GDP has skyrocketed. It rose by 38% last year. Imagine that. A nearly 40% GDP rise in 1 year. Clearly, India wants a slice of that pie. Last year, New Delhi hosted Guyana's President Irfan Ali. He was the chief guest on Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. It's a day that honors the Indian diaspora. So to sum it all up, Prime Minister Modi's trip is all about two objectives. One is to shore up energy supplies. You can never have too many supplies in this volatile world of ours. And secondly, to expand India's strategic presence. China is making gains in South America and Africa. An isolationist Donald Trump will soon take charge of America, so India cannot let China run away with it. New Delhi may not be able to match Beijing's checkbook, so it's leveraging other attributes, like a common democratic heritage. We heard Nigeria's president talk about that, or a common anti-colonial past. Guyana has a statue of Mahatma Gandhi in its capital. Prime Minister Modi is slated to pay tributes there. Or even the sizable community of Indians and Indian origin people. These are things that set India apart. New Delhi's job is to use them to level the playing field.